Go for it, Jessie.
Am I really?
Yeah, you're
I
doing
should
it.
never be on top. Um, Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Talk. What number is this, Braden?
This is episode 107.
Episode 107, and we are joined by a special guest. Her name is Lindsay Wood Brain, as you may know her as. My co-host down here is Braden from Little Bug Woodworking,
Hi.
and I am Jessie of Building Jessie. Um, you do the sponsor part. You're better.
Oh my goodness. One day, I'm going to get you to do the whole thing. You're really in charge around here. All right. We want to send a special thank you to our sponsors, who one of them is kind of like an ironic sponsor for this guest. But Surf Prep Sanding, their abrasives are very abrasive. Their personalities are not. So use code Sawdust Talk and save 10% on like 99% of the website there. If you haven't used Surf Prep, you're not really living yet. Surf Prep. And also George Supply Co. Check them out. If you are looking to get maker swag, get your logo on stuff, Scott over at George Supply Co., he can make it real easy for you. Like, just dead simple. So if you want to get out there, do some of your own branding, check out George Supply Co. Lindsay, what's up, girl?
How's it going, my friends?
I feel like we're operating smoothly. Everybody that's just joining us now, we, in classic Sawdust fashion, decided to have as many little tiny tech problems as we could before we started. Hopefully that carries through because, we already got them out of the way. This is going to be fun.
You're going to say I was fashionably late.
That's right. We were fashionably late. We're cool kids.
Yeah, Lindsay likes to do that. If I wasn't 7 minutes late, then I wasn't on time. It's kind of my motto.
I mean, fashionably late. You have a habit of like disappearing from places.
Eric likes to consider I'm a butterfly. I flutter, so I'll land, but as soon as you kind of come over to look at the butterfly, it's going to get up and it's going to flutter again. So it's kind of all over the place. That's a good description of me and where I land.
I've never seen a butterfly with nearly as much energy as you, though.
Oh, yeah,
I think that's very accurate.
You got to go to Costa Rica. That's where they're really at.
What kind of butterflies do they have in Costa Rica? Oh my god!
Oh my god! Everything in Costa Rica is like on steroids. Every insect, every animal, like because they're like 7 degrees off the equator, so everything gets an extra amount of sunshine and the rain that's there. I mean, the butterfly, and I really say this truly, the butterflies are crazy and like gnarly. And I'll actually even show you some of my butterfly collection, like this one right here. Look at that! It's like the size of my hand.
Goodness gracious! You have a wall of butterflies.
I do.
You're just
I'm an insect nerd. I'm an insect nerd.
Yeah. All right. So Costa Rica, where the butterflies are like hummingbirds, and the hummingbirds are just heat-seeking missiles, I guess.
Yes. I was going to come in with some like science facts right off the bat. As I know this is Sawdust Talk, but we can also do science talk too. Nature. I don't know.
I think that's what we should get into. Let's, everybody put on your thinking caps. We're going to get into the science.
We're going to do a little bit of everything tonight.
Well, a little bit of everything. So why don't let's start at the beginning. Every good superhero needs an origin story. Why don't you tell us yours? What's your elevator pitch? Who are you?
I'd like to say that I identify as a magician because I make magic with my hands. And fun fact, I actually went to magic camp as a nerd back in the day. So I do know a couple magic tricks every now and then. If you get a good sauce in me at the bar, I'll show you them. But realistically, like there's no one thing that I don't do or make. And so I feel like the easiest thing to say is that I make magic with my hands. And I know it's an easy thing to say because all of us work with our hands. But I like to challenge my hands in what I make on a daily. So there's no one thing that I'm ever constantly making, but I will say that the one constant probably material that is focused on would be wood, hence the name Wood Brain. So yeah, my origin story is that I'm a crazy magician that now has gotten into the woodworking world, and I also am into insects and butterflies.
I love that side of you that you're like, I'm just gonna, I think this sounds interesting and I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, my brain definitely needs to see things through. I think I was that kid that like took remotes apart and had to like put them back together again just to see what was like the innards were.
Yep. I can understand that.
Yeah, so that's a little about the wood brain over here.
So, well, and you've made actual wood brains before, haven't you?
Yeah, I made a walnut wood brain, a life-size one that fit into a clear epoxy skull with the cap that fit over the top with it. I made it on my Onefinity with the help of Luke in the garage, helped me make the file with the 3D rendering and all of that. That was a fun one. I'd never done anything like that, so that was a fun task.
How long was that carve?
So it was because you had to do the left and the right lobe, and it was in 4 different sections, and then each one were glued together. And I think it was 2.5 hours each side. So it was like total 5 hours for the full brain, life size. And I still had to do some like contouring, like in the little ribs with like a Dremel to make it kind of, because at one point where it meets together, it was just, bone flat. And so it needed that ridge that a true brain needs.
That's
the
so
deep
cool.
ridges that make the brain do brain stuff, not
Exactly.
smooth brain.
Yeah. I recently found out, and I don't know how I found this out, but I guess brains aren't actually pink. Like they're always featured in like anatomic things. And I don't know why I just thought that they would be pink, because that's what we've always been meant to think, that our brains are pink, but apparently they're not at all.
Aren't they like clearish white?
I think so. Or something like the tissue's like kind of gnarly compared to what we anticipate them to be like.
Yeah.
I just thought they'd be like gray for like gray matter or like Grey's Anatomy. There's a lot of gray involved with medical stuff.
I kind of thought maybe gray, like after like a lung comes out, but I just thought that maybe it was like after it's dried out, like, it wasn't a fresh one out of the calf kind of thing. It's been sitting there for a while. It's been left out on the counter. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. We'll reel it back in. Do you want to talk instead of science stuff? Do you want to talk more sawdust talk?
Oh no. I mean, just God.
No more bodily fluids.
No more bodily fluids. It's like,
so
I'm
gross.
done.
Like things that are wet that shouldn't be wet, and like moisture and chunks. And, it's horrible.
And slime.
My wife loves horror and like slasher movies too, and the entire time, like every now and then I'll watch one with her, and I'm just like, I am so uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. You're lucky that I love you, because I would not be here if I didn't.
It's the gore part.
It's the gore part. Like, especially movies these days, it seems like everybody's so desensitized to them that they just try and make them more and more and more gory.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Rom-coms are so lovely.
Eric's really sensitive to stuff like that too. So I think the most we get to see are like vampire movies and zombie. He does do zombies.
Yeah. No, I just leave the room. Aretha watches on a different TV, and I just go downstairs and watch rom-coms or whatever the heck I'm going to do. Actually, I'm out in the shop most of the time, but
same.
Yeah. Y'all and your iron stomachs. It's out of control.
I work in surgery, so I mean, nothing really grosses me out.
I don't know. I was raised by a single father. I guess I just wasn't allowed to be like grossed out by stuff.
And you probably also had to hold the flashlight in the right place.
Oh yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter where you're holding the flashlight. It's always going to be wrong anyway.
And that was so quickly when the head flash lamps were like not there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing that it took so long for them to be like, hey, what if we just like strap these things up to our noggins? That'd probably fix a lot of these like child-parent relationships. Like,
that's where you like had the Jimmies and the Derricks where they got smart with their little flashlight that clamps onto their hats.
Yes.
They were the ones that their dads didn't even ask them. They were like, nah, we're good. And they were like, but I want to hold a flashlight. Screw you. I'll just rig my own then.
So your second surfboard is almost done, or is it actually done? It's pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing 2 at the same time. One's considered high performance, where it's like as light as we can go, and then the other one's the like we're messing around with, the one that has all the lights and stuff in. So the high performance I finished last night. I put the last hot coat on it. I sanded it, and I finished it. I sanded it, but I actually need to now figure out buffing. I've never buffed epoxy before because I've always just done a last like coat and called it. But I don't want to do varnish, so I'm going to just do one last like buffing, and then that one we'll call it. She'll be seaworthy.
Are you going to use like a 3M like 2-part buffing compound?
I had something that Dre had recommended for when I was doing the skulls and we were trying to get them crystal clear, and it was some kind of like for like auto detailing.
Yes.
So I'll give that a go because I already have it on hand. And then if not, we'll go to the good old tube, the YouTube, and see what people recommend. Unless you have something you recommend.
I'll send you something.
Okay.
My ex was in auto body, so
Beautiful.
and I
Love
just know
it.
what he used. But
Okay.
yeah. So do you actually surf? That's my other question. Or is this just something Eric does?
Yeah, no, I do. I'm definitely not a fan of cold water. I don't do as well, and I don't like to have to put on the wetsuit. Kind of got spoiled when him and I started going places like Costa Rica and Nicaragua and Hawaii, where like the water's like bath water, so it's like 80 degrees, and you can just wear your bathing suit, and you're not restricted, and you can't move, your body.
Yeah.
I will also say, like watching Eric surf, he like surfs circles around me, or just surf circles around anybody, basically. So it's not that he means to be discouraging, but it's definitely like if you go out with him, like it just makes surfing a different experience. So I let him go do the beauty shots on these boards rather than, and I'll sit on the shore, especially where we're at. It's so cold here.
I mean, I can't be the only person that's like, you just spent how much time working on the surfboard? Like, we want to see you out there.
Okay, I'll get out there on it. I'll splash around.
Especially on the light up one.
The light up one we'll definitely have to do. Well, we talked about we could probably throw it in our koi pond, which would be fun to see it like the fish looking through. So
you're gonna scare the crap out of them.
Eric gets in the koi pond all the time because of how deep it is. He actually has a dive suit, which is like a really thick wetsuit, and then he has weight belts so that he can get to the bottom of it to clean the bottom drain. So like he swims with the fish all the time, like takes swimming with the fish like to a new meeting.
Oh my gosh!
And they love it. They come right up to him like he's a little fish bubbler.
They're so friendly, though.
Oh, they're so friendly.
How deep is this thing? Like I'm thinking like a 50,000 Leagues Under the Sea or 30,000 Leagues, big metal helmet.
At the deepest point, it's about 5 feet. So, I mean, if you're standing there, that's like overhead with the water, and But so he dives down, he holds his feet on the rocks, and then pulls the bottom cap off, fishes it out. We have a big avocado tree. And inevitably, one or two avocados falling from the squirrels. It makes it to the bottom drain, and it just like suction cups down there. So there's no way to like scoop it out. So he has to physically go down there, dive to the depths of the koi pond.
It does not look that big online.
I know, it's deceiving. It is very deceiving. But it's permitted. If anyone's listening from my county, it is permitted like a pool. So we do have two different drains. There's all the different setups for it.
Well, I mean, the koi fish are probably they're used to it. Like they come up to him, so they're used to seeing like a person. You throw in the surfboard, they're gonna see a light up freaking kraken, like a sea monster, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, f this, we're out of here."
I don't know.
They're gonna be like diving out.
Well, here's the thing they say here. We're gonna go back to science and nature. Koi fish, when they spawn, it's usually due to like some kind of traumatic experience, full moons, or dramatic temperature changes in their water. So like it could be kind of like a full moon situation with the lights. We could drop the water a little bit. Like who knows? And our fish end up going. It's a whole evolution thing. I'm not gonna scare them. We're gonna, I don't know.
You're just gonna multiply them.
Those things.
Yeah, they've had babies before. That's how we have so many of them.
So you drop the surfboard in, they get startled, full moon thing, and suddenly you've got like twice as many koi fish.
Yep. See, we're making money over here with surfboards. Not just making surfboards, but we're making fish with the surfboards. It's a whole ecosphere over here.
Do you sell the koi fish? Because I know like around here they sell for
you can't. Yeah, we don't. They're our pets.
Yeah,
so we don't.
Aren't koi fish one of the fish that like they don't ever stop growing until they run out of environment? Like they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, they'll grow to the size of their environment. And actually, a fun fact, they can actually live dormant in frozen water. So in like Japan, you'll see some of them where like the water freezes over. During the wintertime, they basically go into a dormant stage and their body just shuts down. So their metabolism is just like, and then they don't eat. And they can live in frozen waters, and then they perk back up in the spring and do their thing. But yeah, they can live up to the size of their environment. So some, like when you see like koi ponds and like that are really shallow, sometimes they look like elongated and they can't actually fill into their body type. There's like weird like body deforming from like the sizes of ponds.
I just learned that I'm part koi fish because I also go dormant during the winter time and then I like perk back up when it gets warm in the spring. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
Learn
mean,
something new
so's
every day.
Lindsay. It rains
Yeah,
and she like turns into a turtle and goes back in her
oh
shell.
man, I'm about to start building a Noah's Ark over here if we take on too much more water. Why you keep thinking I'm building all these surfboards? We need to have some like buoyant situations to keep us afloat.
Yeah, what's that been like? Because y'all are getting like record levels of water right now, aren't you?
It's just like I hate when people like complain about water or complain about rain. I always try to channel my inner Chris Zepp because like he takes on the most amount of water and never complains about it. But I feel like that's my first experience of like what he experiences because we never like hold it. It just feels like it rains and then it goes places. Like we don't have anywhere for it to go because there's so much of it. And that's the part that's like, wait, why is it like building up in all these places where it's like it normally doesn't do that? It's because we're just getting way too much of it. But yeah, we're holding on. A lot of quick dams, those little like expandable sandbag situations, and love and prayer, and a lot of bottles of wine.
Well, and I mean, if it gets high enough, your koi fish just get to grow. They just get to get bigger.
We don't want them to come up and out. Eric has to keep like dropping the water level because at some point it just taps out, and then you don't want them.
They're gonna turn into inside koi fish.
I don't want to come out into the garage one day and find a couple of them out there,
just like hanging out, just doing stuff.
Yeah, no.
Most people have like shop dogs, and Lindsay's over here with her shop koi.
Yeah,
like hey, little buddy.
That's my koi fish.
I like it.
There's a part of me that I'm like, I feel like we should go back and like talk about like Lindsay and how she got into the maker community and stuff. But like, I almost want to talk about completely different things. I mean, we're off on a tangent about koi fish right now.
That's story of my life. Anytime you're gonna have me on any kind of a thing, we're gonna veer off into some weird tangent.
I'm cool with it.
Okay.
I mean,
but if you want to reel it in, like
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. So many fish references.
So you and Eric are actually working together on these surfboards.
Yes.
I think this is one of the. I don't think I've seen you guys work together on a ton of stuff.
Other than, so Eric is definitely my like go-to, my best friend. He's my partner in crime. We're speaking of no bad tides, the one and only. When it comes to like, someone brought this to our attention the other day, and I think it's so funny because it's very spot on, that we're basically Jay and Silent Bob. He's Silent Bob and I'm Jay. I was like, that is like, I mean, even some, which is, anyways, where I'm tangenting with this, it's like, we're like dynamic duo on like a lot of projects, but he ends up being kind of like the silent behind like the scene with things, especially with like our home renovation projects. Like he's always the one to like, if I'm like halfway in it and like just ready to like cut something, he's like, whoa. And like, we'll like YouTube or check. And he's like, actually it's, so we do quite a few projects together. But as far as like an actual, like, I would say this is more of a full collaboration, because there's even been times like, I feel like most of the projects, it's like the Lindsay show and it's like, hey, I need your help with it. Where this is more of a like, we both design this together. And there's even times where I sit back and I'm like, well, what do you think? Because I don't know, like, I don't know on this. Like when he starts talking the apex of the rails and like there needs to be a 5 degree with the fin because it's got to be set 4 inches out. I'm like, whoa, over my head, take over now. So yeah, this has definitely like been our first collaboration project. Although we've done a painting together, but yeah, this would probably be like the biggest like collaboration project we've done. Especially in the garage, which has been fun because to see him always like hanging out in the garage has just been, yeah, amazing. I've had a bunch of like husbands and wives write to me and being like, oh, well, now I know how to get my like either my significant other to come and like do a project with me. We need to either build a boat or we need to build, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Get in on the spouse projects. I like that.
I think that's kind of a challenge when it comes to like couples that both do making things. Especially if you're like the girl in the relationship and you've like formed this, channel of your own, is to like let a man come in and be a part of that. I think can be kind of complicated at times. Maybe you don't feel this anymore because you're very established, but you don't want people to say like, oh, well, look, he's the one actually doing the work. And, people say crappy things.
I really want, so the roles have always been reversed. Like I was raised by a single father. I've always been around woodworking, tools, building my whole life. Eric was raised by a single mom and his sister. So he's definitely had like, he's very in touch with his feminine side. He has like a great will of like listening. He's just, so the difference between the two of us and what we bring to like the table is like always been very dynamic in that sense. And I don't think anybody, at least from my perspective, has ever thought that like, I feel like that's why I'm trying to bring him in more where I'm like, hey, you do know how to do these things too. And I want him to like learn and how to use these tools and feel just as empowered, because I feel like it doesn't need to be like one specific sex that needs to be, dictated on like how you work with it.
Yeah.
Any, yeah.
I like that.
I mean, yeah, we're in 2024. I mean, we can tear down the gender stereotypes at this point, everybody.
100%.
Ladies, kids, guys, everything.
Whatever you identify as and you want to be and you're happy with.
That's right. Koi fish.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy.
With Lindsay's shop, though, she's like such a clean freak. I can just see her being like, come help me, honey, come in here, come help me. And then you'd be like sweeping up behind him. Like, okay, but don't make a mess.
I kind of am a spaz. I do. And I realize this, like that I throw stuff away like pretty immediately. So there's been a couple of times where he's like, well, where was that cork scrap? I want to like test something. I'm like, oh, that's long gone. That's like out in the street to the trash can. Like, so I take the trash out. Like I literally have a small trash can box and it's a cardboard box. It's like my and I take it out like 2-3 times. I'm always constantly like wiping stuff down, throwing that stuff away. And more times than not, I'm fishing stuff out of the trash can because I realized like I needed that piece, but I'm a little bit of a spaz like that. I'm trying to get better. And that's actually been the best thing about working with a partner in the shop that's like, hey, chill out a little bit, let things get a little messy. And like, I don't know. I'm like a whirlwind in there too. I have to kind of remind myself because sometimes I'm like running around the shop trying to get into stuff. And he's like sitting in front of one of the drawers that I'm like trying to open. And I'm like, instead of like even asking him to move, I'm just like opening the drawer. I'm like, what you guys always experience is like exactly what he experiences. It's like, it doesn't change.
Welcome to the Lindsay show. That's what it sounds like.
Pretty much.
Have you ever considered coming to just like literally as far away from the ocean as possible? Because if you ever come to Omaha, I feel like I could use your throw everything away personality to help me get like back on track.
Let's talk weather. At what point is it not cold?
It's like 50 right now, which
that's cold. What point is it 70 and above? Does it ever reach that temperature?
We do. And so
what window does that look like?
I know what you're looking for because I moved here from San Diego. We have like a maybe a 1 to 2 week window where it hits like that nice Southern California type weather, and then we just shift straight into just like just desert hot.
I can do well with heat. I do well with heat. I just don't do well with cold. I know that about myself. I feel like everybody should know their limits, know where their sass point is, where they just like their aura is fluff. They don't like whatever it is. Know that about yourself. Speak it loud and true and just be good with it. Mine is cold. I don't do well in it. Sometimes I have to brave it and I put on my big girl pants and try not to muster up any, sass. But like when I was at Maker's Camp, we were being flooded out. Like, it was not my favorite, but I was going to keep a smile on and keep drinking whiskey and be happy.
It was like your two least favorite things. It was cold and it was wet.
Yes.
It wasn't even just raining. It was a monsoon.
It was really, really wet. I think my biggest thing, I don't like my feet to be wet. I really don't like that's probably my ick is, yeah.
I mean, feet being wet can be okay. It's when they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, it's actually, I should take that back because I'm like, I'll walk around out in the rain in flip-flops. It's like that I'm okay with. I don't like my feet being wet in socks. So it's like once that part is like the breach has happened, and being from Southern California, it's like I don't really own weather shoes. I own like Vans. I just like slip-ons. Like your girl does not, flip-flops is like my go-to daily. Like I love when I'm doing demo and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, these are my demo flip-flops. Like I've done some damage in these bad boys, not to myself, to other things, but like the Southern California is true to me. It's really hard to wear. Like I have a beautiful pair of Brunt boots. I love them. They look great. They're like styling. Every time I put them on, I feel like I am being suffocated. Like I can't wear them. Like even any tied up shoes. Like I feel like I'm really getting into this. I don't know where that all with that extreme, but yes.
What did you wear at Maker Camp on your feet?
I
think I saw you in flip-flops at one point.
I had flip-flops and I had my Van slip-ons.
That was it?
And they were not really watery-proof.
I feel like we're tiptoeing around like a trigger here.
I tiptoed a lot. That was like as long as I was like tiptoed, I tried to keep like, and then I would like kind of like gallop. It's like I would try to find little patches. And I stayed in the total boat booth as much as possible.
Found they were wet there too.
One place that didn't have the river coming through.
They were wet, but they had a boat like at the ready. So yeah. I mean that's just big brain thinking right there. That's what that was.
Right. Yeah.
So WorkbenchCon's coming up. It's not going to be wet there.
Yeah, let's get into inside Maker stuff. Right. Maker Camp is next freaking week.
Maker
Are you guys
Camp?
Ready? Like I'm not ready. I might be ready. WorkbenchCon. What did I say?
I know. I got you said Maker's Camp. WorkbenchCon.
WorkbenchCon.
It's fine.
One.
I messed you up on that one. I'm pumped. I'm excited. This is like I look forward to this every year. It's like definitely one of the like bucket list things that you got to do. So pumped. I'm amped.
So I've noticed that everybody seems to like both. I mean, it's obvious. We're all hanging out with our friends and that sort of thing, but everybody has like a one that they definitely like better. Which one is it for you?
Oh.
In general, not just last year because it was wet.
No, yeah, I don't know. I think that one is hard when I don't think I can say because they literally are two completely different just from like the experiences of like what I get out of it and like what you can get out of it. Like one, you can like physically I just don't think you can compare them. And I can't mentally compare them because like you can't blacksmith at one, but you can't be at a bar, like hotel, like late night, like doing the like there's just two different elements to them. But you just got to go to both. That's really it. And then it also, because they're spread out where one's in the beginning of the year and one's at the end of the year. So it like rounds the whole thing out.
All right.
That's how, I'm sorry. I'm just going to play devil's advocate. I'm a Libra too. I have the scales. I can never pick.
I think that's a perfect answer.
Yeah. I think you're right. Let's workshop through it though. So, okay. Real quick, Maker Camp. What do you get out of Maker Camp? Like what's the draw there?
I mean, the amount of like hands-on things that you could do at Maker's Camp is like I feel like it's almost like Disneyland. You can't do it all at once. There's just no way. I'm not going to try to compare. I'll just talk Maker's Camp. Like the amount of hands-on physical things you can do and the actual hands-on things that like you probably, if maybe in a lifetime would never actually get to see done all at the same time. Like there's glass blowing, there's smelting, there's huge chainsaw like carving, there's leather work. It just to the point of the amount of like so vast amount of different things all in one encompassed place. There's a mass amount of like go-karts that are driving around. Like I'm a sucker for a golf cart, especially if I can try and snag it or steal it. Sorry, Austin, I'm letting the cat out of the bag. The beverages there, you can get a drink that's in a wonton soup cup for like, I think it's $5 or $6, and it's probably one of the stiffest drinks that you'll ever have. There's pool tables in a dive bar where you can get a prime rib for $18. I never had the prime rib, but everybody swears by it. I go for the pool table. There's definitely some of the most interesting people that you will ever see that live in East Durham, and if that alone is a fun thing to see. Do you want me to stop, or like that was my synopsis?
This is everything I was hoping it would be. Okay.
I didn't even talk about accommodations because I feel like that is just its own situation for people, but it's an adventure. Like you have to look at it as like an adventure. Yeah. And it's an adventure that you will always remember and talk about, and it'll be a great bar conversation that just in itself pays for it. So.
You weren't kidding about the drinks though. Like those things are Chinese soup takeout.
It's literally a wonton soup cup with the lid. They just poke a hole in it. Bah, and here you go. And I love that bartender. She is amazing. You take care of her once, she remembers. She's got like a memory like an elephant. Every year you come back and she's right on it. She remembers what you want. She's on it. It doesn't fail to take care of you.
That's impressive.
What's that? Jack and Coke? Sure. Here's just a soup container full of Jack. I walked past the Coke. Dan walked up the first time and he had one, and I'm used to Dan's drinking, and he walked up and I'm like, oh my God, did you get paint thinner? Like, what is in that cup? That's an alcoholic beverage right there. That's what that is.
Yes. Plus there's bonfires like all over the place. Like, so you can sit around, hang out around a bonfire with a beverage with your friends. I mean, there's just certain elements that you just can't recreate at Workbench Con, as much as I love Workbench Con, but there's other things that like can't be created from Workbench Con at Makers Camp. That's why I say you got to do both.
Not
and some
with
people
that
aren't.
Attitude.
What?
We could do all the Maker Camp stuff, but security would get involved.
Yeah.
They
It's a
usually
great
get
story,
involved
though.
anyways.
I know. I was gonna say, how many times do we get
I was
threatened to get
I was
kicked out?
already planning my speech to the security guards this year of like, hey, look, I'm gonna be on my best behavior. Let's bygones be bygones. Or it's whole new staff. That could be fun too in itself.
It's just kind of hard to take the guy seriously though when his voice cracks when he's trying to like assert dominance. Like, it just really takes all the air out of his balloon.
I mean, by that point, I'm so wild and round up that like now if you tell me that I need to be reeled in, that was the worst thing you could have done. If anything, like it just let it kind of fizzle out, because the reeling it in part is like trying to bring in a blue marlin. Now I'm going to be like, Phew!
I feel like I've seen you in that situation though, and it's like Lindsay gets involved with security, and there always ends up being like 4 or 5 people that like kind of circle around you and just kind of like
They think they're going to try and corral, and I'm like,
gonna
you
hurt.
over here.
It's the worst thing you could do.
Like blue healers, just kind of let's just
Come on, Lindsay.
let's just move her
Do
around.
this, we're gonna
Look
do it
over
up
here. Look over here.
There's a shiny thing. Come on, follow it. And then I'm like, butterfly takes off. Try and catch me now. Try and get the covers.
Well,
man.
Maker Camp
For
was
anybody that's watching this live, okay, it's gonna get fun at Workbench Con, I promise.
Oh, for sure.
Best behavior, Lindsay.
Yes. I did appreciate at Maker Camp, because this was my first Maker Camp this last year, and
Oh, you had it broken in right.
oh, it was great though. I freaking loved it. I think it was the fact that there were so many like people that I already know and love, but there was even more like new people that like I didn't know all these blacksmithing people, and like
there's just a bunch of those people who will never come to Workbench Con because it's just not their vibe, which is understandable. And then there's people that will go to Workbench Con, will never go to Makers Camp because it's not their vibe. But I truly believe the two worlds can mend and should collide, and they both should at some point go. But that's the cross blend, and whether you choose to or not, At least I feel like it's like with anything, you should at least do it once. At least so you can say you did it once. And then if it's your vibe, you keep vibing. And if it's not your vibe, you say goodbye.
Like drugs. Try them. Nope, that's not right.
No,
we don't do that. Nope. Nope.
I mean, I don't know. I'm all about as long as it's naturally grown from the earth and it's not chemically altered.
Carrots and broccoli, everybody. Try them all at least once.
Always give it a
oregano.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Okay, so we got the Maker Camp vibe.
Yes.
Now let's do the Workbench Con vibe, because let's be honest,
you're not going to sleep until you're
right
dead.
Now.
You're not going to sleep until you're dead. That's the story I tell myself when I go. Steph and I have a vibe. It's called Late Night Crew. You stay up as long as you can. You treat it like summer camp. If you go to bed first, you lose. You go to bed last, you get up first. That is how it works. You sleep when you get home. Is the one place that you don't sleep. I don't know. That's just my method. I'm telling you the metaphor that goes through my mind. Bring a lot of Pedialyte or the Pedia Pops, as Craig likes to bring them. But you can put them in the freezer in your little mini room, or the mini fridge in your room. Keep those on hand. That's like a plus. The amount of my friends that, like, if I'm going to get like a little serious on it too, as much as I'm being silly with it, the amount of my friends that have taught classes at Workbench Con that I've taken and originally sat in the class front row just to be a supporter, because like, this is the homie, I want to sit front row, want them to feel seen and heard, because sometimes it's nerve-wracking to get up and talk in front of people, but literally to sit through their class and actually get some great knowledge and like knowledge bombs that I was like, that's my homie right there. It's like a peer, but also like giving me such amazing information that now I'm going to take back and implement, and literally has been game changer into my business, into what I do as a social media content creator. That alone has been the most beneficial thing that I've taken away from Workbench Con and will continue to do. Like I highly recommend at least sitting front row in one class that you weren't planning on sitting front row in, just because you weren't planning on going, just because either it didn't sound like up your avenue or whatever it was, but just go to one class that wasn't normally in your avenue, sit front row and commit to that class. Or do the vice versa. This is just gonna be devil's advocate. I'll always play that. Go to a class that you're not planning on going to, sit in the back and give it at least the first 10 to 20 minutes of the class. And if it's not your vibe, you can also bounce out and go into another class. Cause I have done that one year too, where I just like sat in the back just cause I wanted to see what it was. And then it was kind of a little bit over my head. It was talking like really technical camera, like iOS and like all the different things, which now looking back, I probably should have listened to. But at the moment I was like, my brain can't take this. I need to just go and butterfly out. And I did, and I went and sat in like one of my other friends' classes and ended up being the best class ever. So it was like a long-winded thing, but like some of the classes in general at Workbench Con are truly the most valuable things that I've like taken away. And some of them have been from my peers, my homies that I just went and sat front row, and they ended up like spewing some amazing knowledge that I'll never forget.
God, you're just a really good friend, because I sit in the front row of my homies' classes, and I just think, I'm going to heckle the ever-loving shit out of them.
I mean, you know how this goes. The girl's definitely going to have a one or two one-liners that I like, and I got to, and then I had to like read the room where like, Lindsay, okay, So, but I think it's like, I always put myself in like their shoes of like, I'm sure it took a lot of like preparing, like getting to that point. You'll have that nerves of like, what if nobody shows up? What if everybody shows up? What if I fuck up? Like whatever it is, but like seeing like a couple like familiar faces that are like in the front row nodding at you, like helps all of those nerves all over. So I usually more times than not, like I see some of my friends that are already telling, like I vibe out the ones that are like, yeah, I'm speaking. I'm like really nervous. I'm like, I'll be there. Don't even worry about it. Like to me, I was originally there to support you, but like at the end of the day, it was, a win-win, because I ended up getting some great knowledge out of it. And I tried to just sit there quietly, but I really was like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Heck yeah. So
knowledge nuggets.
Yeah.
So what would have been like the best classes that you've gone to in the past?
So the one that's still going to stick out the most in my mind, it was last year. It was Chris Zepp's class, which he gave it twice. And I was in the first class, and the first class was amazing, but I heard the second class, he even got like teary-eyed. Everybody else got teary-eyed. And I was like, damn, I missed the more dramatic, epic like one. But he basically, if I'm just going to like summarize, he was like, basically, he was talking about like Instagram growth and just being on any social platform and the growth on social platforms. And basically, if you're not growing and you're complaining, that you need to kind of take an inner look at yourself of like, are you actually putting in the work? Because like more times than not, the people that are complaining, it's like, well, are you posting every day? Are you doing the things that, you're complaining, but like, are you putting in that effort? And I'm just like summarizing what he said. And the reason why this stuck was I was sitting right next to Justin in the back midway, and we looked at each other because we had just maybe 20 minutes prior to this class literally complained about our growth on Instagram, and we were both like, dang, he's like talking straight to us right now, like basically like put on your big boy pants and stop complaining. And I was like, heard. Okay. So we both looked at each other, and after that class, we made a pact. We're like, hey, when we get back from Workbench Con, let's post for 30 days nonstop every day. And then like this is just like our little pact. We'll like check in and see how it works and see what ends up coming from it. And sure enough, like I ended up having a huge growth spurt from it. And it was just something that like I took for gold, and it really ended up paying off. And I've told that story to multiple other people, and I've had other people ask like how that came about. And I always will equivocate to that story that Chris said, which was basically like, you can't complain about it unless you're not actively putting in the work for it. So.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Work.
So I know that was just one, like a
Gross.
heavy, like a talk class. But I will say that there was a class one year, and I can't remember who was teaching it, but it was like a refinishing class where they actually let you get in and like use some of this, like they had surf prep sanders there. They had a bandsaw, like a grizzly bandsaw. So it was cool to see in a hotel setting in those rooms, because you don't usually see the sawdust, and right. It was kind of fun where we were like, oh, we're actually going to see, like, that's what we're here. We're kind of away from woodworking because we're here for a conference, but like also you see woodworking and it's like flies to a light. So that was kind of fun. And then I will even say, like when they had like the log mortising, tenning kind of stuff. Like they did like that was really cool because that was like a little bit of the makers camp kind of stuff, like bringing that type of woodworking in.
Was that Chris, Cat Dog Chris?
Yeah. So that was a fun one. That was the same thing. I was just like popping in the back just because I was like, oh, it's a homie. I didn't plan on like actually physically, like I was just going to go and do a quick Insta story, like tag him, like, you know, listen in the back and bounce. And then I saw a bunch of people like actually using the tool. So I was like, oh, wait, all right. So then I like stuck around, actually like took that whole class, and it was amazing. Where originally that day I was going to try to go to like 3 classes at once. I was trying to like multitask, butterfly it around. And I ended up sticking in that class, and it was great. So I highly recommend like really looking at the schedule, getting a general idea of what you want, and then maybe either sticking straight to it or like letting that whole thing just fly out the window, because you might the first day go to those classes, and then that later on that night at the bar be talking to someone and ask other people, what were some classes that you recommend? And somebody might recommend one that you're like, shit, I didn't have that on my schedule, but now I want to go to that. So then it leaves that open pocket of being able to like attend what you want after hearing other people's feedbacks from the day of, if that's helpful.
No, that is helpful. I think anybody new going there, it's like, I mean, you have like the seasoned people who have been to Workbench Con like every year or the last few years or whatnot. But I've actually heard there's quite a few people I've connected with lately that they're going for the first time this year. And
Yeah,
so I feel like I've been giving advice a lot lately, but
yeah,
I love yours be.
Yeah, like I love the I mean, because we all remember our first Workbench Con. Remember my first Workbench Con. So it's like there's like all this anticipation. You don't really know what you're getting yourself into. You're really thrown into the shark sometimes, and with certain situations or with certain classes or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's like it's always like a great experience. And I'll just say, just like be prepared for it. And you know, don't go anything with like too crazy of like high expectations of anything. Like let it just like really be what it is for you. And this that coming with a grain of salt, because like I'll real quick give you a tip, like a story of my very first Workbench Con. It was the second Workbench Con. I had never been. I didn't know anyone in the maker community. I randomly, it was like a couple nights before my birthday, I see the tickets were on sale. My birthday was September 30th. I was like, fuck it, girls feeling saucy. I think I'd had a couple glasses of wine. So I just bought the tickets. Wake up the next morning, didn't realize I bought the tickets. Then I looked, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in Costa Rica for a month. I now need to fly from like change my trip just to go to this like conference that I don't even know anybody or what I'm doing. Then I get an email that there's going to be a Home Depot competition. And if you know Lindsay and you know that word competition, they're the worst things to put together because my mind goes crazy. So I see competition. It's very vague. It doesn't tell you what it is. So for this month that I'm in Costa Rica, I mentally sit on the beach and I mentally plan my award speech for this Home Depot competition of what I am going to say when I win this competition. Cut to, make it to Workbench Con. First day, show up, don't know anybody. Your girl goes straight to the bar, does her thing, makes some friends. We end up having a great time. The first day of the competition, there's like 150 people that sign up for the Home Depot thing, and it's timed. I make it first on the first one. So I'm like, oh, now I'm even more pumped. Your girl's even more amped because I'm in first place on the first day of the competition. So now I'm talking shit. I'm high-fiving people. I'm getting even more sassy. Like the build-up's even going. Cut to, I make it to like 5th place. I'm still to this point where that second night I get saucy again. I literally stand on a bar cart and in front of like maybe 10 people, give my speech that I had been practicing for the month ahead of time. Somebody filmed it, send it to me next day. I'm like, oh man, Lindsay. Anyways, cut to, I didn't win, but I make it into 5th place. We make it to the last night of the ceremony speech. My brain had been building up this is where I get to don't make it so much of something that it can't be or isn't going to be, because it should just let it be what it is. I'm sitting there in the front row, girl, front row at the closing ceremony, and I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for them to call the people up that won this like thing. So they say they do the honorable mention or whatever, and then they go to first place. They didn't even call them up. So me, I'm at the edge of my seat. Good thing I didn't win first place, because I probably would have rushed the stage and take the microphone and have been like halfway into my speech before they realized like what is happening here. Anyways, cut to, it was still the best experience of my life. If I were to tell myself Lindsay on the beach the month before how it was going to play out and how it actually played out, like I still would have it play out the way it actually played out, which was like not my grandiose way that I had envisioned my Workbench Con experience, but the Workbench Con experience that I had was still amazing. And I still did get to get that victory speech in front of those 5 people. And if you're out there and you remember that, you are my true gold.
Do you remember who those people were?
I don't at all. I don't even.
Do you remember the speech?
Oh, I definitely remember the speech. Because here's the thing.
Give us the first 2 lines.
No, here's the thing. Okay. I was going to make everybody close their eyes and visualize that they're on a beach in Costa Rica. And I'm going to say, stay with me here now. Stay with me. I know we're in Atlanta right now, hot Atlanta, and it's not Costa Rica, but visualize yourself. And I was even going to like do like some like ocean noise. I don't remember if like how I was going to set the stage, but I was literally going to make everybody close their eyes and let them know how I had manifested this moment. But with that said, I'm going to just throw this out there that there will still be a day, and it will be at Workbench Con, and it will be on that stage with the microphone that I will give that speech, and I will explain all of that back forward. And it might not resonate with all, but it will resonate with some. And so,
oh my goodness,
that was my first Workbench Con experience.
I love it. I love it so much.
I just can't. I hope that I get to be there when you get to give like your like suck it y'all moment.
Oh, the worst. Okay, you have this. One of the people that I was competing against, and I still didn't know this at the time. I found out later, which made me feel like a total jerk. It was a dad and his 2 sons. I didn't know this at the time. The 2 sons and the mom were there. And I'm going up and I'm trying to give everybody a high five. Well, I didn't. And so I'm like thinking that they're there to cheer me on. Because of course in my head, that's what's going on, right? Cheering squad for, because I'm in 5th place. Like, let's go. So I go up and I'm like, yeah, like giving them high fives. And they're kind of looking at me like, what? No. And I remember the reluctant, like not wanting to give me a high five, but they looked like, can't, and it did come to later. Their dad was the one I was competing against. And the whole time I'm like, me, suck it. It wasn't that bad, but it was definitely along the lines of like, not pumping the brakes. And so
you didn't have your crew back then to like rally.
This was
just heard you
around.
This
was first time, Lindsay. No, but like I literally met everybody for the first time. Like this is when I met Craig for the first time. Listen to this story. Craig and I get mistaken for each other because of our curly hairs from behind, which I'm still not sure which one of us should be more insulted, but also honored that like one of us was, because like I'd like to think we both had nice round ends, but like also like there's a differentiation in body shape, size, height. I don't know, maybe not. It's just the curls that they were seeing. So that's how him and I. So then we'd like the entire weekend like leaned into that where we would like just which one's who, from the back end, and then here he is. Now we're stuck with each other for life.
Ironically, Craig was like a really, really big part of my first Workbench Con too, because he just randomly came up to me. He's like, "Who are you? Like, what do you do? Who do you want to talk to?" And he drugged me all around Workbench Con that year. He's like, "Oh, you want to meet them? Yeah, you want to meet Mike Total Boat? Yeah, come on." Like, and he just drugged me over there. "Oh, you want to go over there and meet that person? Yeah, sure." And he dragged me over there. And I think every year since, it's kind of been, for me, I mean, had somebody last year who really wanted to meet somebody, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, yeah, just go talk to them. Like,
yeah, 100% just go talk to people, because it's literally, that's exactly what it's there for. And nobody, like, I don't think I've ever came across anybody that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure I've ruffled some feathers, but I'm like, I don't think I've ever come across anybody that like wasn't like openly willing to be like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't think it ruffled anybody's feather. I've just heard that there was one person that maybe I might have just, they weren't a big fan, but I always have to remind myself.
Yeah, it was the dad in that competition. Feathers ruffled.
I just always remind myself that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm definitely someone's glass of wine. So, you can't win them all. It is what it is.
I just feel like you speak in like high energy t-shirt slogans, and I love it.
I know. I was going to say, I'm going
to remember that. That's yes. Okay. I speak in high energy t-shirt slogans. I want that to actually be a shirt now.
That should be the t-shirt. I only
Yes.
speak in movie
High
quotes
energy
and high energy t-shirt slogans.
Good
No,
times.
yeah, you touch on something that really kind of made an impact to me when I went, because last year was my first Workbench Con.
Oh, cool.
And
Everyone's got their cherries popped.
yeah, ooh. This was also last year was also my first Maker Camp too. So
So you did both.
I was
So
just
you
spending
see,
money left and
you
right
double,
last year.
See, you doubled down too, and you did both. Okay, I want to hear it now. Fill me in.
Yeah, no. So the hard part for a lot of people that go for the first time, if you're like deeply kind of invested in the community or like on YouTube and like you're watching all these people, for me at least, and I don't think I'm the only one, it was a little starstruck. Like, there's Jimmy friggin' DiResta. There's the guy standing next to Drew Witt. Like, he's fine. He has a YouTube channel, I guess. But there's Travis from Shop Nation. Like,
but let me
there's
ask
all
you,
these people. Like, I have T-shirts that these guys have made and put out. Like, I've got T-shirts, and it's really hard because you're like, it's like walking up to like C-level Brad Pitt and trying to talk to somebody like that.
I'm gonna tell Jimmy you're a C-level Brad Pitt.
It's definitely not Jimmy. Jimmy is the Godfather, but
is he? So he's not a C-level. He's Brad Pitt.
No, he is Brad Pitt. He's the Brad Pitt of the Maker community.
He's the Brad Pitt. But let me ask you now, after having that experience and then actually getting to hang out with Brad Pitt, like, how was it though? It was rad, right? It's like he's still just as down to earth of a dude as ever.
I've only ever had one bad experience meeting a maker, and that is overshadowed by like 200 awesome experiences. So my advice
there's always got to be one, and I'm sorry it was me. I promise to be better. I'm mending my ways.
Listen, I knew I liked you because I think I ran into you for the first time in the hotel lobby at like 11 o'clock. It's just in the dark hours in the lobby. And I think my very first introduction to you actually happened from about 100 yards away from each other. And it was...
Was I running from security?
I think you were. But yeah, that was my
introduction
to you. It was, that girl's got a lot of energy. I like her. I want to be near that. Not like too close, struck by lightning sort of thing. But like, I want to be near that energy.
I'm all over it. You better come give me high fives. That's all I ask. I'm there for the high fives.
But that's the thing about this community is like, it's so welcoming. And so anybody that's new, you're going to see people like Lindsay and Jessie, like these big names on Instagram, like these big deals. Just freaking walk up to them. Just go talk to them. They're normal
100%,
people.
100%. Well, we high five just like everyone else. We cheers like everybody else.
They tell like dads and their families that you suck and you're going to lose, just like the rest of us.
I mean, if you want to meet somebody too, if you have those moments where you're like, it's Jimmy freaking DiResta, or like somebody you watch on YouTube, just find somebody. I mean, find me.
100%. I mean, usually you also see them kind of hanging around where you like might like know, oh, that person's next to that other person. Like, I've just chatted with that one. That's like, you're in, just like slide over. Like, but this conference is you already know you're gonna have that happen. Like, I remember the first time I had somebody, it was the second, like, come up to me and genuine was like excited to see me. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I've never had that experience. Like, this is actually really cool. Now, all I want to do is talk to you for 20 minutes because like, you're excited to talk to me. Like, I'm excited to talk to you now, So it's like, it's everybody that's there is an anticipation that like somebody's going to go, like, you're going to meet somebody new. You're going to high five and like hang out with somebody new. And you're also going to hang out with some of the homies that you're going to continue to make a bond with that you met the year before and year prior. And you continue to build that bond. So it's like the different layers of this, like, it's like the 5-layer nacho dip. You're getting all the different parts of it. So, if you're not in for the guac, just stay for the top. See, there's my t-shirt slogan. Who's writing these down? Who's taking notes?
Somebody take notes. We need this.
You can listen back to it later.
Jeez, that one was gold.
There's gonna be like a whole Etsy store open, just thoughts by Lindsay, and it's all T-shirts.
Oh man, just all my residuals I'd ask is just buy me a beverage at the bar or high five me and tell me you made a T-shirt slogan with my saying on it, and then do the point with it on the back.
That's right. Or bring the T-shirt. Like, definitely bring the T-shirt.
Heck yeah. Okay, speaking of T-shirts, and the maker community. Is anyone wearing any like? Because Craig has new ones made every year that say funny things. And like I've keep going back and forth. Like I really wanted to make a late night crew one for Stephanie and I to have like on our last night, like at 4:00 in the morning when everybody's like doing the sale, the ship out, kind of thing.
Going to Waffle House.
Yeah. Are you guys any maker shirts that you're planning? I still have yet to go, and I put up my fight every year to not go, and it's just because I don't know why. I don't know now. I don't know why.
Waffle House and I are frenemies.
Oh no.
We couldn't get in. Like open 24 hours, 365.
Is this the one where they were like, yes, sorry, no, we're mopping, or they were just like,
they're remodeling.
Yeah. Okay.
They're and by that they mean they're filling the bullet holes with plaster.
Oh shit. I do remember a group of you guys coming back being very verklempt of not being able to have your Waffle House. We
were ragey, but the Steak Shack that we like tipped our way into getting inside balanced it out. We were 3 sheets to the wind at that point. That was drink responsibly, kids.
I would say with Workbench Con, Makers Camp food definitely makes out better because you got some good barbecue and all stuff, and like but like. So just be prepared. I don't necessarily remember like the breakfasts and lunches being that great. That's where I'm like definitely bring those Pedialyte pops or be ready to go to Starbucks and get a little snack kind of thing. No knock on. That's my vibe on the.
Well, and with traveling in general, like everybody, boys and girls, like eat a salad, like eat one somewhere, eat a vegetable.
Okay,
I was
gonna say make sure you brought beef jerky. It's good for your salt intake, or pickles. Pickles are that's actually you really want to know Lindsay's true secret to like when it's bad and it's really bad. Every good bar usually serves like a greasy kind of burger. And what do they put on those burgers? Those pickles. So if you really need, that's the way you go. They'll save you 9 times out of 10. Actually, I would say 10 out of 10. I don't think I've ever had a pickle do me wrong on any situation where I'm like, because sometimes it's just a long day. It's a long day and it's just a lot going on. So eat a pickle.
Eat a pickle. Another shirt. There we go.
Jessie, you you did the boots last year. You got anything cool going on?
No, I think I'm going to bring the boots back. I think
you should bring the boots back.
I think
like the boots or like a new pair of boots.
I had this conversation and the thing with getting a new pair of boots was the amount of time that I spent like glued to the floor and like couldn't physically go to the battery and get food.
I remember that. Yeah.
I would be like standing there and like sign, and I'd make it like 7 steps and somebody would be like, can I sign your boots? And I'd be like, yeah, of course. And then I'd be like standing there. Where should I sign? So I'm like, maybe I'll just minimize how many people have to actually do it this year. But I know there's people that still want to. So
is there any room left on the boots that you have?
There is.
I'm like, what if you wear high top socks and not add on to it?
Or like carry around a tattoo gun.
I don't know how well.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured I could also just get some darker pens too, because the pens were pretty light last year. So people, if they really want to sign it again, you can like find your name
having the layers. I feel like the layers over it would be kind of cool. Yeah, I feel like bringing them back though. You should definitely bring them back.
I'll bring them. I'm gonna bring them back. I'm bringing them back.
Do both. Wear the boots, but also have like a pair of boots tied like roller skates over your shoulders, and then you could like drop them off and be like, "Hey, I'll be right back." Sign them, bitches.
I think that takes the fun out of it.
BRB.
I'll be like, "Can you hold on to these for me? Thanks."
Or something else to sign. I don't know. Just brainstorming here. Jar of pickles. Bring a jar of pickles. Sign my jar of pickles.
No, because then I'm going to confiscate those pickles and they will be gone. You will just have the jar that's signed. No pickles.
I have a t-shirt. I have a special t-shirt. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but just know that when you see it, you'll know that was the t-shirt I'm talking about right now. Just know that. You will know it.
I'll be like, this is the shirt.
This is it. That's what he was talking about.
I feel like I should know this. You're keeping secrets from me, and I don't like it.
This secret is like 3 total people know it, and all 3 of them have a t-shirt. And like this thing's locked down even more than the Daniel Dunlap Wood Mayo shirts were.
Wow.
Locked.
I like
But you'll
like
see
when
it.
things are. Oh,
You'll
I
see
like a
it
good.
and immediately be like, "That's it. He
I
spent
like a
way
good
too much on that
suspense.
T-shirt, and it's worth every penny."
I'm excited now.
I'm excited too. The suspense is built.
I think I'm more excited for this shirt being revealed than I was to get my CNC and my laser combined. Like,
Wow.
I'm that amped.
Okay, the bar has been set. We're there for it.
We're gonna be like, Braden, that's not even cool. And you'll be like, yes, it is.
It's not cool, but it will be memorable.
Oh my gosh. Well, friends, we just hit our 1 hour mark. We usually try to keep this thing to about an hour. Since TJ's not here, I will play TJ. We had no TJ rants tonight. That's so sad.
That's true.
You had a lot of Lindsay rants to fill in, though.
We did.
Yeah, we got a lot of one-liners.
They were so good, though.
Okay.
But TJ always asks our guests to wrap the show up with a quick word of wisdom or something, I don't know, inspiring.
If you're not,
I did not deliver that very well.
It's fine. I got it.
I'm sorry,
I could take it from here. If you're not adding more shenanigans into your life, you're not doing things right. Add a little adventure, add a little play every day. Add that to a shirt, and
there's a T-shirt right there.
Yeah, and then I just want my residuals of a beverage at the bar when you see me.
Well, before we go, another quick thank you to our sponsors that let us keep doing this. One of them you can actually meet at Workbench Con. Hannah and Skylar are going to be there from Surf Prep, so make sure to stop by that booth and check them out. They're going to have some like that's my sander noises.
Definitely play with their sanders, because that's like their sanders, when you get to like experience them hands-on, is a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also grab a T-shirt. If they have T-shirts, they are by far like the best T-shirts I've ever had. I wear them like every single day of the week. But thank you to Surf Prep. Thank you to George Supply Co. They let us do this every single week with almost no control. Like, they just kind of let us do whatever we want. And that's pretty dope of them. So we appreciate them. What? Hannah, I need one of these hats. I have to have it.
It's my favorite. Wear it all the time.
That's so cool.
Yep.
It's like yeehaw, but also beach.
Yeah.
Beach.
I just to see her.
It was a lot flatter, but it's just she's gotten a lot of wear. So.
Wait, hold on, Jessie. You haven't been able to see her this. Like, it didn't fix it. You've been just talking to nothing this entire.
It's been a black box.
You played that really well.
You didn't get to see any of my seat maneuvering, my squirming around all the time and readjusting and
the just inappropriate hand gestures.
But no, I tried to watch it on Instagram, but it's too delayed. So.
Oh, well, hopefully it wasn't for everybody else. That would have been amazing.
But Lindsay, thank you for coming on. Thank you for helping us hype up Workbench Con. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to see my people.
Same.
We have 7 days. So if you're at Workbench Con, find Lindsay. She won't be hard to find. She's either going to have a handful of pickles or a banana costume on.
I might have a new surprise costume for Workbench Con. I didn't want to blow, but as soon as he's got all amped for your shirt, I was like, well, I'm amped for something too. But I'm probably just as amped about this that I am as my laser and my CNC.
What is it?
I can't say either. And also, I think there's only 3 people that actually know about it as well. But I will say it does have something to do with Total Boat and a big secret release that's being launched on Workbench Con. Like, nobody knows about it, and nobody will know about it until Workbench Con. Like, it's a big.
You heard
thing.
it here first, but didn't hear it here first.
Yeah. I didn't say nothing. Kristen, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I kind of let a little out of the bag, but she said something on the live the other night that there was going to be a surprise and that like a top secret something was happening. I think.
Total Boat. They do Total now. They're getting into boats. Like, they're getting into full done, like all done boats.
All done. Sailboats, even.
Yep.
7 Seas. The whole
now I want to know what it is. Wait, you have 3 people that know your secret, and I've got 3. Do we know each other's secrets? Are we?
No, because did your 2 people tell my 2 people, and we were the only 2 that didn't tell each other?
Those sons of guns.
All right. Well, now I just feel left out. Bye, guys.
Just bring a new something as well. You just need a new costume or pair of shoes too that you're not going to let us know about, and then tell 2 people and.
Ooh, parachute pants.
Ooh, and bring MC Hammer Hammers back.
MC Hammer what? Pammers?
The pants. I messed it up. So I was gonna roll with it. Pammers. The MC
Some
Hammer Pammers. Hammer Pammers.
Well, this is jumped off the rail. Anyway,
as it usually would.
We'll see you guys in a week. We do not have a guest next week. We're not 100% sure if we're going to do an episode. It certainly is not going to be at this time because this is when at least 2 or 3 of our hosts are going to be like showing up. So next week y'all get off, but we're probably going to do a live from Workbench Con.
Woo!
At least one. We've promised one. We're easily convinced
I'm
to
gonna
do
definitely
more
come
than one or
crash
2.
that one.
So yeah,
you're welcome.
Make sure you
to.
check out the Surf Prep booth because that's where we're doing at least one of them.
Oh, perfect.
You do have to know how to juggle though, because there's a big like performance. So if you want to get in on it, can you juggle?
Did you just say there was a competition? Did I hear competition?
I think we're gonna have to have a competition. Who can juggle the most Surf Prep Sanders? You starting to write your speech already?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everybody close their eyes. Just listen to the sound of my voice.
Don't close your eyes while you're juggling.
Paint yourself a wood brain picture from my words. You're on the beach. You're on the beach and suck it.
You guys already know too much of my speech.
We know like 2 lines.
That's
was it 3 lines long? The third line was just suck it.
I was just gonna have them all close their eyes, and I was just gonna mic drop in this friggin' bounce.
Just leave, grab the trophy, and run out.
And run, yeah, that was the whole plan
Like
the whole time.
Just everything with you.
Like
just,
a super
was that a fever dream? Was she real? Did we see that?
Happen? I like to keep you guys on your toes. What can I say?
But anyway, if you want to be kept more on your toes, come to Workbench Con. I think the tickets are. Did they have like 10 more minutes for tickets to be sold? You guys know that?
Really? Oh yeah, because they was the
they extended them, and then they had like a 5-minute sale, and then like a full price 2-day extension. I don't know. I've
always wanted to kind of do this push of just if I didn't buy one, buy my airfare, buy my hotel, show up the day with the cash on hand, and just see what they say.
Nobody's going to say no.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know what I say? What was I saying? Shenanigans, adventure, and play. You'll never know unless you try it. So
all you got to do is wait for like the vendors to walk by too. Be like, hey, you got an extra t-shirt? Like I'm here to rep.
I'm not trying to add any shenanigans to the mix, but I'm like, if it really came down to it and you were like, dang, why didn't I go? And then you just got the spur of the moment to like get in the car and go. I don't know.
I think it'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, until then, we get to do some fun shenanigans at Workbench Con together.
All right. We're doing that. We're doing the Midwestern goodbye thing where we say goodbye and then we do like 10 more minutes of talking. So, all right, everybody, we're leaving. Bye-bye.
Bye.